This weekend, we hear from the prophet Samuel how David has Saul in a very vulnerable place. Now, to backtrack a little bit, let's recall what's going on here. Saul is Israel's first king for the first 40-some years, and he is supposed to unite the 12 tribes. But he has disobeyed God twice by taking matters into his own hands. So, God will take the kingdom away from him and will give it to David, whom Saul anointed privately many years prior when David was just a young boy. Until it was time for his kingship, he served in Saul's court. The Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul and now rests on David, and Saul is left with a tormenting spirit. David soothed him by playing the harp. At first, they have a good relationship. God's favor was on David, and he served the Lord with his whole heart, and the Lord blessed him in everything he did. He moves up in rank in Saul's court, but soon Saul grows very jealous of David and his success, and his love turns to hate, and now he wants David dead and begins hunting him. David must go on the run. But God protected David and did not let him be found by Saul. In today's reading, Saul and his men have let down their guard and are sleeping there on the ground with his spear right next to him, unaware that his enemy David is standing right over him. David could have killed Saul right then and there, but he didn't. He knew God had chosen and anointed Saul. He was still the king with a duty to fight for the people of Israel against their enemies. Though God had told David he would be Saul's successor as king, David did not take matters into his own hands and kill his enemy, though he easily could have. He was already living out the commandment of his Savior Jesus, who would not come for another nearly 1,000 years later, and give this teaching to love your enemy and do good to those who harm you. In Luke, Jesus is talking to the Israelites. They despised the Romans because they oppressed them, but Jesus told the people to love these enemies. Such words turned many away from Christ. But Jesus wasn't talking about having affection for enemies. He was talking about an act of the will. You can't fall into this line of love. It takes conscious effort. Loving your enemies means acting in their best interest. We can pray for them, and we could think of ways to help them. Jesus loved the whole world, even though the world was in rebellion against God. Love means action. So maybe we forget offenses and give without counting the cost, as God himself has done. So who do you need to make a conscious effort to love? This will not be easy, but neither was the cross.